For those college coaches and scouts that came to get eyes on the class of 2026 this summer, we get it. You couldn't help but peer over at those 2027s. Yes, the recruiting rules have made them untouchables for a year, but the talent is just that good. And after months of showing out on the biggest stages, the 2027s have our full attention and new rankings ahead of a defining stretch for its players. Welcome into another Coffee and Curveballs. I'm Cory McCartney. That's Shooter Hunt. And Shooter, the updated rankings include 9 of the same players within the top 10, though that list is shuffled. How fluid do you see things at this stage of this class just kind of keeps defining itself?
I do find it very fluid because obviously advancements are going to be made, right? Nonstop advancements from players who are continuing to progress their talents, right? This even after their senior year is not a finished product. They're trying to continuously get better. Not to mention we're constantly out, so many boots on the ground looking for new talent, guys who pop up, guys who get better. So I can't wait to see what this class will become, but they're already super sophomores.
We're still a ways away from the list, which is at 300 currently, expanding to 500 players. And we're going to keep our attention for this one on the top 10. And there's a new number 1, and commitments are few and far between in this class due to those aforementioned recruiting rules. But California's Jared Grinlinger has checked that box as a TCU commit. What led this 6-foot, 160-pound outfielder to go from number 3 to number 1?
You know what's so interesting is just the fact that even now as a sophomore, it's very split on Grinlinger. Is he a pitcher? Is he a position player? I love the way that the bat works. Really loose wrist, can drive the ball to all fields. Did a great job with Team USA and their little friendly against Australia throughout the fall. Dan Valerio was locked in, and Jared Grinlinger kind of put on a show at the plate. Can really cover. Goes to Huntington Beach High School, which has produced nonstop prospects. His older brother, Trent, his Mississippi State commit, will get tons of draft looks as one of the top backstops in the 2025 class. Oh, yeah, Jared Grinlinger was also one of the best pitchers at Huntington Beach as a freshman. 90-92, 4 pitches for strikes. He moves really well. The upside's there. He's one of the younger players in the class. Won't turn 18 until just before the draft. Shoot, just before the draft in 2027. But that's a big reason for a guy like that. He's a left-handed arm. He can really swing it from the left side. There's lots of impact and excitement from the athleticism, and he just gets after it and is an all-out gamer.
Numbers 2 and 3 on the list both made their march at Lake Point Sports this summer. So let's start with Pennsylvania's Graham Keene out of Mount Lebanon, which this past season had a lot of attention, ends up having Royals second-round draft pick David Shields. I spoke to Keene, who just shows incredible maturity for his age this summer, and he spoke about the level of leadership that he learned from Shields. That just feels like another toolbox in a very full toolbox for this wiry 6'5" two-way who has exit velos into the triple digits and a fastball into the 90s.
Yeah, it just has the frame, the athleticism that is just hard to match that high ceiling. We'll talk about Chase Fuller in a second. He's got the same amount there. But from a school, he's with David Shields. All scouts are going out to see it. And Shields was outstanding. But I would have said Graham Keene was the best prospect on that field throughout the year at Mount Lebanon. Same high school as Ian Happ. They produced some really good, talented ball players in the past. But the bat, the ball skill, the way he's able to leverage that 6'4" plus frame, the power profiles there, can really cover the plate. He's been at third base. He's been at the outfield. He hops on the mound. He's up into the 90s there. There's not many things that he cannot do right now. And that Pittsburgh area has just done a great job producing prospects and high upside guys who approach their high ceilings over time.
Keene is the only player in the top 4 who isn't committed. And meanwhile, it's clear why number 3, Chase Fuller, has Florida State next to his name. He's the son of Corey Fuller, former Seminoles defensive back, current FSU director of football relations. Here's what Florida State's getting: an already solid frame at 6'2", 205, flamethrower on their mound, and an imposing physical presence at the plate.
Yeah, and my chance to get to stand next to him at the preseason classic where he rolled up with Lincoln High School, who was one of the more imposing teams I've ever seen on a high school baseball field. At 6'2", 205, he looks like he's a linebacker right now. But what was interesting getting next to him is the fact that there still appeared to be some physical development and upside that will come. Has a chance to be an impact bat where he's going to play on the field. He can play shortstop, third base, go to the outfield, anywhere around the diamond. Has a chance to be a 5-tool type guy. Oh, yeah, he also hops in the bump and might be the best arm in the class as well. So there's lots to get excited about with Chase Fuller. Not going to try to set any boundaries for him because he will just go past them in a hurry. Love the way he competes. Love the way he gets out in the field. Loves the way that he continues to want to better himself. So really excited to see what Chase Fuller brings. And there's a chance that all these guys could be number 1 over time.
Florida commit Rylan McMahon at number 4, up one spot. Then there's another left-hander, Connor Salerno, out of South Carolina at number 7. What sets McMahon apart as the nation's top-ranked lefty, and how close is Salerno as the number 2 player at the position?
I think both very interesting, right? When we're talking about arms in the class, especially early on, we want to try to find those southpaws. Who are those guys with the high upside, left-handers who have a chance to start? Riley McMahon, another panhandle guy, who really wiry frame, loose, whippy arms, excellent mover. The more he becomes comfortable and confident with the movement patterns and those strikes continue to come together, a very important age from sophomore to senior year, that little 2 year gap is kind of where the strike throwing comes into play the most prevalent. McMahon's got the tools. He's got the arm strength. He's got the athleticism. As he continues to get better within the strike zone, he's got swing and miss stuff. He has a chance to make huge jumps. Salerno, on the other hand, a little more polished. Everything comes easy, goes through the zone really well into the low 90s with multiple pitches for strikes. Love the frame, right? Physical lower half. He's kind of got that workhorse build. I think he's got huge upside, but both of them, put them side by side, 1A, 1B. Those are both premium left-handers who could even rise higher over time as they get better.
I spoke to Salerno this summer and he was playing for Wow Factor. He took me inside the first time this past high school season that he hit 90, and he said he was just shaking from adrenaline, that he was just so excited for that moment.
He's not gonna slow down.
Yeah. Meanwhile, outfielders dominate the next 5 spots in the rankings. North Carolina's Jacob Seaman at 5th, previous number 1 Lash Henderson from Texas, now at 6. Kansas's Grant Westfall makes his top 10 debut at 7, and Georgia's Caden Dawson is now at 10. It's a group headlined, of course, by Grinlinger, the new number 1, but we exhaust so much oxygen talking about shortstops in these rankings. How strong is this class when it comes to this position?
I think right now the best players, especially at a young age, shortstop, center field, pitchers. I mean, you talk about Chase Fuller, kind of do everything, right? They come right from 12U where they're running their way to Williamsport, and then they go through and eventually they kind of find their landing spot. But a guy like Jacob Seaman and Lash Henderson, what was so fascinating following them throughout the summer was just how polished and mature they were at the plate, able to slow things down. Lash Henderson already has a professional approach, much of which him being at Prestonwood Christian with Coach Ryan Valade, who's one of the better hitting minds in baseball, especially at the youth level right now. He just had a plan in everything he does. And then it's some explosiveness, kind of reminded me of the way I saw Jordan Lawler. It just flowed through the hitting zone. The right-handed bat didn't look like he was exerting much effort. All of a sudden, he's going oppo off the wall. All of a sudden, he's leaving the ball, leaving the yard, as you saw there at Lake Point, multiple times to the pull side. And then he can go get it in center field. Seaman's the same way, left-handed hitter. I think the Walker Jenkins comparisons will likely come into play just because he's a North Carolina product, outfielder, left-handed hitter. His swing decisions really shined. I think the bat the ball's there. He covers the plate, and obviously the frame's going to continue to grow. He might be the youngest player in this class. Will not turn 18 until after the 2027 draft. So a good reason why those two are up there right now, because we love the upside. There's still a lot more that they have to do to continue to better themselves, but we can't wait to see what they do, especially heading into the next summer.
Finally, on the topic of shortstop, Tennessee commit Max Hemingway and IMG Academy by the way of Washington comes in at number 9. A Prep Baseball All-American out of Washington, Eli Hurst, and I were talking in Miami about the string of talent that has come out of that state in recent years, and Hemingway has clearly positioned himself to be next in line.
Yeah, and he's not satisfied to relax on. He was at Puyallup High School, which is a power program out of Washington, played as a freshman, was at the NHSI. He's headed to IMG to get some more at-bats, honestly. They won't start playing in Washington until kind of mid to late March, whereas he's going to go to IMG, get those January, February bats, continue to get those ABs, create those swing decisions, really get comfortable against elite arms down there in the state of Florida as a Tennessee recruit. But his bat the ball, and more than anything, he is not scared. He steps in the box, expects success at all times. Even going up at shortstop defensively, he wants to be the best. And when you want to be the best and you drive to be better than everybody else on the diamond, it really helps pick up your tools and bring you to another level. He has that type of mindset, along with a guy like Caden Dawson, who just can flat out hit. I know we were talking about him in a second. That guy can just absolutely rake. I know scouts are going to be in love with him over the next 2 years. And then Grant Westfall, who you talked about, who along the lines of the other guys who have elite athleticism, Grant Westfall has some crazy athleticism. Yes, he's from Kansas. but he just gets out there, not in a negative way, but a cold weather state doesn't get the same amount of at bats as these other guys, and he's still able to hit the ground running against the top arms in the country. Love all of this top 10.
Well, the third update of the 2027 rankings comes with plenty of movement, and more is certain to follow as these sophomores find their footing ahead of a key year. Make sure you keep it locked on all the Prep Baseball channels for insight and analysis like you won't find anywhere else in the business. Until next time, I'm Cory McCartney, that's Shooter Hunt, and we'll see you at the Diamond.